Before you start writing your first SQL statement, I would like to take you through some best practices. It's really important to get used to these best practices early on so that you are equipped to write code which is easy to read and maintain. As you know, we wrote this SQL statement in the previous lesson to create the table population. It's written over 5 lines with some formatting and indentations. But none of this is necessary when writing SQL statements. The same statement can be written like this with all the column details in one line and the rest in another. Also, you can write everything in one line like this. You can even write the same SQL like this with all the characters in lowercase and the entire statement in one line. Database management systems ignore new line characters and additional white spaces, and also keywords can be written in both uppercase or lowercase. So both of these statements represent the same thing. But as you can see, it's so much harder to read the bottom statement when it's all written in one line without any indentation or casing. This gets even harder when you have large SQL statements. So it's really important for us to follow some best practices so that we can write production quality SQL statements which are easy to understand and maintain. Let me take you through some of the common standards followed in the industry and what I personally prefer. Please feel free to adopt as you wish. Firstly, every SQL statement will have some keywords. Keywords are generally words that have significant meaning in SQL. In this example, create table is one such keyword which instructs the DBMS to create a table. Also, varchar and int are informing the database management system to use specific data types. Keywords in SQL are case insensitive, but common practice is to use uppercase for them. Secondly, every SQL statement will have some identifiers. An identifier in SQL is simply a name of the database object. In this example, population is the name of the database object called table. Similarly, country and total population are names of the database object called column. Depending on the database configuration, the identifiers can be case sensitive in some databases, but it is recommended to use lowercase for identifier names with an underscore to separate words for readability like we have done here. In terms of formatting, I would recommend you to have one item per line. For example, as shown here, keep one table, one column in a line so that it's easier to read. And finally, make sure to indent the code so that everything that needs to be considered together are aligned. In this case, that's all the column names and their data types. Applying these basic rules makes your code so much readable and understandable. And also, similar to other programming languages, SQL also offers comments. Comments enable the developer to document any important information required to maintain the SQL script. The most common form of comment you may see is this one. It starts with a dash dash, followed by the text of the comment. But this comment cannot extend to a new line. It's most commonly referred to as a single line comment. SQL also offers multi-line comment as shown here. It begins with the characters slash and an asterisk and ends with an asterisk and a slash. Everything in between is considered as comment and ignored by the compiler, and the comment can span multiple lines. You can also use this for the single line comment as shown here if that's your preference. Comments are quite useful to document the SQL scripts, but please use them wisely. Having too many comments can also make your scripts unreadable. You may have just started your journey on writing SQL, but please make sure to add comments as necessary and format the code from day one so that you enjoy writing SQL like I do. That's everything I wanted to cover here. I'll give you more best practices later on in the course, but before we finish, let's switch over to the database and add some comments to our script. Here we are in the SQL Studio. Let's add some comments to our SQL script. I'm going to start with the multi-line comment at the top of the script. So I'm going to simply say that this script contains all the SQL statements from this section of the course. So I've started with a slash and a star, and then I'm going to write my comment here. And I'm going to simply complete the comment with a star and a slash. And that's a multi-line comment, as you can see. So we've got that at the top of the script. We can also use single line comments as we discussed, and that starts with a dash dash. So let me simply say I'm demonstrating the create table statement here. And also, you don't necessarily have to have the comment starting from the beginning of the line. You can have it at the end of a statement as well. So for example, if I wanted to add a comment at the end of this line here, I can simply say dash dash, and then I can add a comment. For example, I can say country names are expected to be a maximum of 50 characters. So let me just do that. So that's how you add comments there. These are quite useful as well. So you can quickly add a comment to one of the lines and then carry on. You're not taking up another line and making your scripts longer. So that's everything you can do with the comments. And as I said, it's better to indent all your code. So I'm going to simply indent my data type here as well. That's all I wanted to show you. I hope you've now got a good understanding about how to use comments and how to indent your code and make it more readable. And that's the end of this lesson. I'll see you in the next one.